Hey guys, it's Jambros, starting a new series of physical DPS loot guides today, this time for the upcoming Wrath of the Lich King expansion, and I'll be starting out with Survival Hunter. These will be a sort of quick guide for pre-raid gearing. They're going to be a bit less technical as far as exact DPS amounts go, compared to my previous guides. The beta is still ongoing and most sims and sheets still have some work to be done. I'll be getting back to that later for tier 7 most likely, and definitely tier 8 and onwards. Since this is pre-raid, you aren't really meant to ever be full bis. Almost all of your items can be upgraded in the already available raids of naxx, obsidian, sanctum, and Eye of Eternity. These items are meant to be used in that period of time before you enter the raids for the first time, and in between lockouts for slots they haven't been able to upgrade yet to maximize your damage in the meantime. Since this guide is a little more general, the format is shown here and done per slot. If applicable, there is a kind of a BIS 1A and 1B, and then also a good to decent option, which is behind those two, and then a hit option if you need more hit and the previous options don't have any. I've also sorted through all these items and where they come from and listed on the right side here. This way you'll have a good idea of which heroic or reputation you should be focusing on, and I'll be doing a bit of a priority focus recap at the end. Last thing before we get started, you'll need to know how much hit to aim for. It's very unlikely you'll ever be full pre-raid BIS since you'll be getting upgrades in naxx, so you're going to want to be a little dynamic and build around this rating. You will want to get 8% hit, which is 263 hit rating. If you have a Draenei in your group, it's 230. You can also move points into focused aim for up to 3% more hit, all the way down to 164 rating, and 132 if you're 3 out of 3 and with a Draenei. Okay, now let's get started with the head slot. If you're an engineer, the best helmet you'll be able to get is crafted. They are bind on pickup, and you can actually wear these as low as level 72, but you'll have to level your engineering up a bit to do that. Otherwise, the best helmet you can get pre-raid is the Plunderer's Helmet from Ingvar and Utgard Keep. King Dread's helm drops from the T-Rex and Draktherin if you really need the hit. The Pendant of the Outcast Hero is the best neck piece you'll get pre-raid, and it's a fine purchase for 25 emblems, but I'd recommend buying the Trinket with emblems first. I'll get to that later. The Titanium Impact Choker is also good, and is bind on equip, so you can just go to the auction house and purchase this, or craft it for yourself instead of spending your emblems. If you're broke or lucky, the Necklace of Arcane Spheres drops in Heroic Valid Hold. The Spalders of the Abomination and Spalders of the Black Arrow are pretty similar, with the former being slightly better. However, the latter can be bought at Ebonblade Revered Reputation, which you'll need to get anyway for the Helm enchant. There is also a solid hit option that drops in Utgard Pinnacle. Your best cloak option is the Cloak of the Gushing Wound. It drops from Irakim, the Arakoa mini-boss, in Heroic Valid Hold. The Ice Tricker's Cloak is a good, not great, option for survival hunters. Haste isn't really your best stat. However, it's bind on equip, and you can pick it up at the auction house. This has the potential to be pretty expensive, and requires a max level leatherworker to craft. I have a 1A and 1B listed here for chest pieces, but I really think 1A, the polished regimental hauberk, should be your only realistic pre-raid option. The item level 200 tier piece has worse stats and costs you 80 emblems that you could really use elsewhere. The good chest does require Argent Crusade Exalted, which will take a little time. There are a couple male ones you'll be able to purchase in the auction house in the meantime for relatively cheap. For the bracers, what you really want to go for are these interwoven scale bracers that drop from Karastraza and the Nexus. The Dragon Friend bracers are good, but they require Wormrest Accord Exalted. Ebonblade and Argent Crusade are both more important reps than Wormrest. Eaglebane bracers are an okay hit option and easily acquired. They should be pretty cheap on the AH and will do a solid job holding you over until you can get better. Pre-raid best in slot for gloves depends heavily on how much hit you're running. If you ask me, I like the leather hit gloves from Utgard Pinnacle the most, but if that ends up putting you way over the top, then hand grips of the Savage Emissary are best option. I put the eye level 200 tier gloves here, but again, I'd pass on buying these for 60 emblems unless you have nothing else to buy and just cannot get any other better gloves to drop. The belt slot is truly a 1A and 1B kind of scenario. Both are hit options, but Varisos is bought with 40 emblems, while the Sovereign's Belt drops from King Amiron and Utgard Pinnacle. UP is a good dungeon to run daily, or at least as often as you can. If you're able to get the belt to drop, then good for you. Save the emblems for something else. Otherwise, the emblem belt is a good candidate for your second or third purchase. The leggings with the stone halls from Heroic Halls of Stone is probably the biggest upgrade from second best until you can replace these in naxx. Unfortunately, this is probably the only thing you'll really be after in Halls of Stone. Azjol Narub is quick, an easy source of emblems, and does have these hollowed mandible leg plates which can hold you over if you don't get anything else better quickly. There's a 1A, 1B, and a hit option here for boots, and I'd put them all about equal. If you're able to grab Dragon Slayers and Nexus or twin-headed boots in Violet Hold, then great, but you'll also probably be working on your Argent Crusade rep, and these boots provide a ton of hit for you. If you've got plenty of spare gold and the Kirin Tor rep, then by all means buy the Band of the Kirin Tor. Even if you want to actually use the stats in the ring, it's another Hearthstone for you. The Titanic Impact Band will absolutely not be cheap early on in the expansion, but you'll be able to buy it from the AH. This will be easier if you are actually a jewel crafter yourself, so you can get the Dragon's Eyes needed to craft it on your own. The Mobius Band is a good option that provides hit from the Culling of Strat. These are your best pre-raid trinkets, and it is really not close to any other pre-raid trinkets, except for the Alchemy Trinket if you're an Alchemist. 1A and 1B are your best overall trinkets, and the Dark Moon card, which is sure to be crazy expensive, will last you ages. The Mirror of Truth costs 40 emblems and should be your very first purchase with emblems. If you don't have both, Sphere of Red Dragon's Blood for the Nexus is good if you can use the hit rating on it. Incisor Fragment from DTK is okay if you haven't gotten 2 of the previous 3 yet. Okay, so I lied a little bit here on your ranged weapon. Your actual pre-raid best is Thoradal. If you weren't lucky enough to get a legendary bow in TBC, however, then these 2 are your best options until you can get that Envoy of Mortality from KT. While the Nezingwary 4000 certainly won't be cheap, it's just about as good as a Drake mounted crossbow from Oakguard Keep, and you don't have to wait to get it. There are a few good options for melee weapons. I'd probably pass on the Lightning Giant Staff unless you get luck into it. It's probably the only thing you'd really use from Halls of Lightning. The Staff of Trickery from Violet Hold is very good, especially since you'll be running Violet Hold a lot already, but the real star is the Runeblade of Demonstrable Power. Definitely the 1A pick here. It's probably best because of the noticeable lack of stamina on it. It only requires Ebonblade Revered, not Exalted, and you'll be needing that regardless to get your Helm enchant. And that wraps up all the gear slots. For a quick and dirty priority list, you'll want to get the Knights of the Ebonblade reputation to Revered first for the two-handed sword, the shoulders if you need them, and your Helm enchant. Second, you'll want to get Argent Crusade to Exalted. The boots and the chest it gives are both good pre-raid options. Violet Hold, Utgard Pinnacle, and the Nexus are good priority dungeons to run as they contain many high-quality pre-raid items that you can take advantage of. Utgard Keep and Halls of Stone do not contain the most items for you, but the bow and the legs are both very good. And finally, the Mirror of Truth trinket should be the first purchase you make with your emblems. That's it. If you have any questions, drop them below in the comments or come by on Twitch, link below in the description to catch me live. If you like this sort of content and want to help support this channel, be sure to like this video and subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time.